Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, a weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Not much to say. We got the live letter on Friday, we've got patch 5.5, we've got the fan festing we're waiting on, and there's going to be a ton of videos about all of that stuff as soon as we start digesting all of the information and content that we're going to be getting in the next several months. Now, with that, I don't really have too much else to say. I'm spending a lot of time on Monster Hunter Rise since that just came out. Outriders comes out this week, and I'm a looter fan regardless if it's shooting or otherwise, so I will probably be diving into that pretty heavily. Whether or not I actually get much past the story and into the expeditions is kind of an unknown for me at this point, because I'm having a little too much fun in Monster Hunter Rise because it performs way better on the Switch than it has any right to be, especially with how Monster Hunter World ran on the PS4. It's some witchcraft I can't explain. But so other than that, though, I want to get back to playing Rise, and I ate before this, so I've got plenty of time to do that after this Q&A is done. So there's nothing else of note. Nothing's changed in the past week. Everything looks and feels exactly the same as it possibly could. So I think with that, we can thank the patrons and go on into a Q&A like we do every week with nothing visually distracting you for how different it is. So thank you to our patrons for supporting over on Patreon. You do it. I don't know why, but I do appreciate those of you that do keep yourself there. And even if you haven't, it's been a tough year, man. I'm keeping those names on there until further notice. I like to say it occasionally, but there's been too many people who have been awesome over the past year. And longer than that, to be fair. On top of that, thank you to our patrons of Darkness, Khuja, Janova, and Kurenai Oni, who have gone above and beyond with their support over on Patreon. So thank you to them. Thank you to all of you. And with that, let's get into the Q&A. This first one is a one-liner. Hashtag Mr. Happy Monday. But no hello. What a bad way. They said bye, but not hello. Well, bye's in their name, to be fair. Do you see them addressing the issue of clear sellers? It feels like every day I have 1 to 3 more people. Their ban rules are really, really inconsistent with the way that they treat different topics. So you'd think that... So there was a recent stint where somebody was banned, or multiple people were banned or suspended for using the Party Finder to advertise for, like, you know, they have houses that are designed after specific role-playing themes, and they were advertising that. And they got a suspension, which didn't make any sense, and it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But it's not the first time I've heard someone getting suspended for something they should not be suspended for. And then, at the same time, they won't ban for something like this, which is so very clearly not what the Party Finder is for. So you'd think that that first happening would set a precedence for people to not be able to use the Party Finder for this. Here's the thing. I can understand if they don't want to track the people down in their Discords and, like, send an undercover agent to prove that they're doing RMT activities, which, I'll be honest with you, 99% of them are. Almost none of those sales are going to be for Gil. But I could at least see them looking at that and being like, or are we really just going to let this still happen in the Party Finder? Like, they'll find other ways to advertise. There'll be always some like black market for it, regardless of the risk to people's accounts. But the fact that there's just like a line of them doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, they don't take any action, but there's some GM out there who really hates role players. I don't get it. I'd love it to be addressed in some way, because at the very least, the Party Finder listing should be in some way against the terms of service, given what they are. All right, hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Another no hello? How can we start so weak when we've been so strong as of late? Long-time watcher, first-time asker. Welcome, I suppose. Believe the tradition is you get a lifetime supply of something. You like teppanyaki? When I went to Japan, that was one of the first things I got, was teppanyaki. All the teppanyaki. I'll take it. Anyway, I have a couple of different questions for you. All right. Will you make D&D a regular thing, be it on your channel, at this channel, or regardless of it being XIV-centric? I have a hard time with long-term commitments like that for something to do like once a week, every week. Even with raiding, like after the raid tier dies down, like if we can beat it in like an hour or two, I'm okay with the time commitment. But I have a really hard time because every week is something different. You know, something might be really like Monster Hunter Rise right now. If I had to stop playing Monster Hunter Rise right now to go do something else like a weekly Q&A or something, I'd probably still be thinking about Monster Hunter Rise the entire time and really just thinking, how can I get through this thing? Like, how long is this going to take? Not that that would actually happen. Obviously, you know, I'm a professional, and I would never, ever think, man, I could be getting that last, Narg, what's it called? Marrow. There you go. Marrow, like bone marrow. Yeah, I could be getting that for that hammer. And then the Tigrex Claw from the high rank. I could be getting that. But no, I'll answer some questions there. So with D&D, that's the toughest thing, is making it a long-term commitment over several weeks. I enjoy doing it, and I like to get more in a character than I was able to, but I also have that issue with being able to speak in a large group of people, that like anxiety of like, I don't want to speak over other people, but I also really want to say something, and I don't know how to fight both of those feelings. So the answer is I'd like to, but the odds of it happening are pretty low. 2, when a release date for 16 is announced, do you plan another count-up? Yes. Literally the second was announced, me and the two friends, Morag and Slack, who both did it last time, we immediately tweeted at each other and went, yo, so, and we were like, all same time. We didn't even wait to see each other reply to like one of the other. It was like we all tweeted it at each other at the same time, and it's like, all right, well, I guess I know what's happening. So yeah, that's going to be a big one. But yeah, definitely a count-up. I don't know about for side games, but definitely the mainline Final Fantasy. Like, that's count-up's always going to be mainline over anything else. So I wouldn't say we wouldn't include the other games, but the mainline's definitely going to take precedence no matter what. And Type 0 is probably never going to happen, because first time I played that game made me motion sick. One of the only games that's ever done. I've beaten Mirror's Edge and didn't get motion sick playing that, but I got motion sick playing Type 0. And even though you can turn it off, the motion blur, or you can adjust it with the console version, it's kind of just turned me off of it altogether. Like it's like a sour taste in my mouth at this point. So that's probably never going to happen. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, oh look, someone's saying hello. Hello. Longtime viewer, first time asker. Welcome, and thank you for enjoying the content. First time reward is some manner of Wagyu. Oh! You know, I've been getting ads for like imported Wagyu on my phone, and I'm like, it's probably a scam, but I want to do it. Do you ever think they'll make more fleshed out version of Earth's Fount since there isn't an extreme, or how do you feel about a unique boss like Proto Ultima being thrown in 24-man and melting in literally minutes? I've always felt it was a wasted opportunity. I think there could have been a lot of potential there, and as someone doing Ultimate right now, I feel like it could have been incorporated there more instead of more landslides, feathering, interruption. No, because Proto Ultima is nothing. So you got to remember with Ultimates is they very much have to do with the story, and Proto Ultima is really just 24-man Ultima. Like, it has almost nothing unique about it, minus the fact that you kill a few mobs before he blows up in the center. Like, he's got a dive bomb, I suppose, and that's about it. But that's pretty much what landslides and the Ifrit dashes are anyway. They're all landslides, or they're all dive bombs in some sense of the word. Earth's Fount, technically, we got an extended version of it in Baldesion Arsenal with Raiden. Essentially, lore-wise, the Zentetsuken is a weapon created by Eureka, and it transforms the wielder. Obviously, they become a primal in and of themselves. And we see with Raiden that there wasn't only one Zentetsuken. There was the Zentetsuken and the Shin Zentetsuken. And, Raiden has one of the what are they called? One of the Baldesion scholars picked that up and became Raiden, and that's a whole other thing. So that's really the only extension of it. Probably not exactly what you're referring to. The best you'll probably get is an Unreal. I doubt we really revisit Odin, his lore, any of his encounters anytime in the near future, or anytime at all. So I'm going to say I don't expect it. And as for the Proto Ultima thing, yeah, it would have been cool as like a 24-man trial. It was made for FanFests more than anything. All the FanFest trials are kind of like that. Odin also made for FanFest, but he got a little bit more lore integrated because he's kind of a big deal. And then obviously we had Yojimbo, who was a big part of the Hildebrand finale for Stormblood. So, but they're never really that serious, the ones that end up at FanFest. So, and I'm curious about if we'll have anything even remotely like that this time, because there is no FanFest. So, well, there is, but it's online. So I don't know if we're even going to get. They haven't made any mention of like a secret added trial, but maybe we'll find out during the live letter. But I sincerely doubt that that's even going to happen this time. But I'm okay with the way those turned out. They're fine for me personally. But if they wanted to release a stronger Odin, I wouldn't turn it down. There was a second part to that question where there's any other bosses or encounters. Yeah, but they're all like the generic answers that would be like, oh, you can make an ultimate out of the Four Lords or the Warring Triad. And that's all it's going to boil down to me is like, oh, I can get an ultimate of this. And so it's not a very interesting answer to give. But that's really all that comes down to it. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. What it do, Haps? Hey, that's a version of a hello. Hope you're doing well. I am. I hope the same for you. My question this week is pretty simple. How are you liking the D&D campaign that you are in with 5? So we finished that. By the time you've asked these questions, we've recorded the whole thing. It was supposed to be done in one session. We finished it in 2. And I believe only 2 parts are out right now. I didn't click through the second part, but I don't think the second video got all the way through the first campaign that Ethos decided to do. And I don't know how much time he's spending or what his time frame is looking like for the next one. So it was good fun. I definitely enjoy it, but I as for at this and what his plans are, I couldn't possibly know. It's already over and I had fun, I guess is the answer to the actual question. You don't really like bombs. Oh, I don't mind the bombs in Delubrum. I do mind Brayflock's bombs. Very much so. Next one, hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Happy, hope your week is going well. It is, thank you. Long-time watcher, first-time asker. In the previous Q&A, I've always been unconvinced that the PvP-style combo buttons weren't the way forward for the game, and over time you've convinced me to. But in the last 2 weeks' conversation about making positional bonus more or less relevant to the melee role has got me thinking. Okay, I like where this is going. Until recently, positional attacks were actually a bit of a barrier between me and melee jobs, only for the quest to get all 80s and switching the controller over mouse and keyboard. It would have possibly stayed that way. These days, I appreciate the role a lot more, but I also appreciate that positions are sometimes off-putting for some, particularly those with perfectionist streaks. As a result, I find the prospect of increased positional focus to be something to reflect on and consider if it were the direction how to make it accessible. Could there be room for combo buttons in exchange for increased positional requirements? Would it be enough to compensate positional activity with key press complexity? Or they make the jobs tedious for raiders who find the current iteration simple? You know, the last point's definitely true. It would definitely be tedious as hell. I think the thing with positionals is there's always going to be a line to ride because you really want them to matter. You want a player who does perfect these things to have a noticeable difference in performance over another player. But they don't design it for those. They don't design these jobs for those players. They design it for a mix of players. They're not always just aiming at the people who know how to play these things best. So I don't think this is a reasonable exchange. I don't think nailing down on the identity for positionals but combining their combo actions is necessarily the best way to go forward, especially if you look at the way the jobs work now. Monk bounces between their two combos. Dragoon basically is two long 5 combo threads, so I guess are strings. I combined threads and strings and got thrings. So I guess, yeah, I mean, it would work on pretty much all the melees, I suppose, although then you start thinking about Samurai with Mechio, which starts to get a little bit kind of weird with the way those end up working out. Ninja's a little bit less so, and I don't know. Here's the thing. The only way the PvP combo thing would ever work, they'd have to have considerable complexity added back to the jobs in other way. It couldn't just be another button to press during a burst window or something along those lines. It'd have to be a whole other resource that needs to be managed to make up for the loss of basically what is one core aspect of the job. And I think a big thing that I don't say often enough is it's okay not to like something. That doesn't mean it has to be changed for you. And I'm not speaking to you in particular. I'm just saying like as a general statement. And I think that is kind of lost on a lot of people. A lot of people like to look at things and see how could they make it so I like it? Not what is its identity and how can that be improved? And that's a tough line to walk. I mean, I failed to walk that line. I'm sure it's in plenty of videos. You could find examples of it. But this is in one case where I don't think it's a worthwhile trade to exchange having one button combos just for more positionals. I don't think that is an exchange that needs to be happening when you could just make positionals people are already being told they need to learn more impactful on the jobs, which I don't think they'll do because then the skill gap between the floor and the ceiling is going to become a lot more than it already is, and I think they're generally trying to avoid that. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Mr. Happy, hope you're doing well. Same, hope for you. Thanks for answering my question a couple weeks ago. My question is, do you think Square Enix will ever make an ultimate weapon for Stormblood? Now I want Stromboli. Stormblood for Gunbreaker and Dancer. I'm holding on to a totem. Man, this is one of those questions where I don't want to be the one to make the decision for you, because I can say I have no reason to believe, which is the answer, that they will ever add an ultimate weapon for the newer jobs and the older ultimates, but I'm of the opinion they should. So I can't make that decision. I mean, if the totem doesn't bother you just sitting there now, I'd say keep it and just hold on to it just in case. Because if they do, you're going to beat yourself up. But also don't be surprised if they never do, because they've just shown so little of an interest in doing it. I mean, we were surprised that Gunbreaker and Dancer got Shinryu weapons. We all thought that was a dead ringer, that Shinryu Ultimate was on the way, because it was just such a weird thing to do out of nowhere, and it still is. So, yeah, I don't think they will, but I would still say hold on to it. Like, if you already held on to it this long, you might as well keep waiting. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Happy. Probably a repeated question. We'll see. Do you think the game will ever be localized in other languages? You know, it actually has been a long time since I've been asked this question, like Spanish or Portuguese. So the rest I can see is like, they do proper localizations, even voice acting in the current languages that they have. And I do see that you say it's very unlikely given the amount of work. And you try to look at it as a precedent. And you've kind of hit the nail on the head with this last paragraph right here. You pretty much say everything I would have said in the answer if my scroll would properly grab it. in that the amount of people playing in those regions already. It's a weird thing, because I'm sure it can't only be the number of people currently playing, because part of the reason for releasing a game in a region is to get people from that region to play it. It's almost never to meet a demand for a player that's already there. It's to try and expand to more players in that region. And then those kind of decisions have to be made based on the average economy of those areas, what their past records are with other games, or how other MMOs trend in those areas. Like, I'm sure they have an entire team that deals with statistics that would, I guess, what's the word that I'm looking for? Rationalize whether or not to release it in a region or not. I mean, Australia's been waiting for Oceanic servers for ages as well, right alongside people who are waiting for the game to be localized in another language like Spanish or Portuguese. So I don't have all the information. None of us do. But I have to imagine that it can't just be the amount of work. It can't just be, in my opinion, hiring localization or, actually, though, I think about it more. You mentioned the amount of work. It's not just about... It's not about just how much work it would be to do it. It's about how much backlog there is. It's like the longer the game goes without it, the more not feasible it is, because of how much text and voice acting is in the game. I don't know that. I mean, that alone, outside of, again, I'm sure they have statistical analytics for tons of different things, both with other products and Square Enix, MMOs, all that. But man, I have to imagine the work that would go into localizing every single thing that's already happened while the game is in active development of new content. And that I'm tired thinking about that. Like, that hurts my soul to think about. So yeah, I don't think there's gonna ever be another like region or localization that opens up in Final Fantasy XIV. And I hate to say it, but that's the honest guess that I have. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Happy. How you doing? Hello. I'm doing good. Hope the same for you. Thanks for answering my question the last few weeks. No problem. Started playing 14 last year in May, so Endwalker's going to be my first expansion. Hopefully it's going to be a good one. I've leveled everything to cap in anticipation, but are there any things that I should be focusing on to prepare for Endwalker in all forms of content, other than just increasing item level and melding good material? That is definitely the most important thing. If you have around best in slot item level, it doesn't even have to be best in slot, like the actual best gear you could possibly get. That'll usually last you 5 or 6 levels before you can start replacing it, and then you will take replacements whenever you would get them. You'll get them from, dungeon completion or quests or things. You'll start to see the difference. Materia also, same thing, melding on the way from 70 to 79, even right when you get to 80. Better than having nothing at all, especially if you have your own crafters to do it yourself on the go. So there's plenty of precedent for that. It's been tough to answer something like this because, we, by the time this expansion was through, all of a sudden we needed Crystal Tower, we needed the Stormblood 24-man series. Who knows if we'll need the Void Ark 24-man series to get to the moon? Who knows? Maybe we will. That was the whole reason, I guess, we would get the moon bag in Heavensward, because I thought the Void Ark was the Lunar Whale. So who knows? Maybe they touch upon that story again and it ends up being something we need to look to doing. I'd say just beating the normal mode of anything in the game, the easiest difficulty that gets you through the story, is the only precedent that you should ever consider. Because they don't do hard mode dungeons anymore, they do just the new dungeons. You don't really have to worry about whether or not you did that dungeon that unlocked that one time. One would assume, because they're all going to be done through the main story at this point anyway. You don't need to concern yourself with beating any savage raids, because the only thing those unlock are old ultimates at this point. And, that's, if you're interested in doing those, you'll just unsync them and mow through them anyway, even before the expansion, which might be something to do because we don't know how unsyncing will work. It should theoretically be pretty easy at 90 to unsync the old stuff, but if you don't want to take any chances, unsync the old savages that specifically unlock ultimates, if you have any interest in that. I mean, you can level crafters and gatherers to make sure that you are able to meld your own gear, repair your own gear. Definitely a very, very important thing. Melding is going to be a little bit more annoying because you'll have to level one of them to 90 to do all your melds, but that's better than it used to be at the very least. Blue Mage, nothing I can really say. Grand Company rank, you probably do that anyway. I mean, it's just about taking care of all the little menial things that have accumulated throughout everything. I am going to be releasing a video of some information that some of its item level, some of its little things you can do to get a real good boost at the start of the expansion. One of my biggest pieces of advice is to prep the week of early access, whenever that ends up being. On Tuesday, prep all your challenge logs, or on Thursday, I should say, prep all your challenge logs. Get to 1 from completion for all of them, and then when the servers come back up on Friday, whatever job you want to get to, either maybe it's the new jobs or your job you already played, complete all the challenge logs first and foremost. Now you're going to have Wondrous Tales, which is half a level. So get a Wondrous Tales done before that week is done. And you can even do another one if you want another quick half of a level. I say quick, but with the unsync changes at 80, it's probably going to be a lot tougher to do. And then, yeah, if you have any other EXP saved up, anything that can, like, you could just complete real quick to get that first level out the way, either to give yourself an edge or to get, you know, to qualify for Bozja leveling or something. That's another little thing people can do. And I am going to be making a video of all these little tiny things that have come up. And it's hopefully it's going to be helpful. But other than that, no, just making sure that you have like normal modes of stuff done. That should be the majority of what it is that you need to do. And I see towards the end, you started talking about, HelloFresh. Yeah, I mean, I've been taking up my own recipes this week. On top of the HelloFreshes that I cooked, I've done tacos. I made just tacos with a little onion, pepper, like a pound of ground beef, some garlic chopped up, a little salt, pepper, smoked paprika, a few other things in there. And then, you know, just bring that, let it simmer. And that turned out pretty good. I did linguine and clam, which turned out okay. I kind of let the pasta clump a little much, and I didn't use enough red pepper flakes, I feel like, so it didn't have enough of a kick. But you can always add a little bit when you heat it back up, so that's not too bad. Little too much lemon also. And then this week I'm probably going to do baked ziti, get a pound of ziti and, like a pound of ground beef, maybe some sausage, and then get a few different cheeses, ricotta, mozzarella. And then, that's not everything, but, you cook it all separately to like almost done, but not all the way done. You throw it in a pan together, and then you make a couple of layers of it, ziti, meat, cheese, top it, throw it in the oven for 20-25 minutes, and you're pretty much done. So I think I'm going to do that this week. I think that's what my cooking plans are other than HelloFresh this week. And I'm looking forward to it. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. Hey, Apps, you doing all right? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. I looked over here to read the question, even though it's right in front of me when you were saying it, because I have my OBS over here. Third time asker here. Welcome back for the third time. So I'm up to E12S, progging the first phase since the last time I asked the question here. My question regards raiding with different jobs. I mean, Red Mage, I found it difficult lately to find a party and party finder due to being restricted to not just Red Mage, but the caster role itself. I've leveled Monk to 80, and I'm currently leveling Black Mage since I know it's rotation from leveling an alt. My question is, what would I need? All right, thanks YouTube for not giving me the read more option. No, now I gotta scroll all the way back down to it. Look at all this. Here it is. Is this it? This it? No, that's not it. That's this one. Here we go. Yeah, all that for 2 extra lines. Thanks, YouTube. My question is, what would I need to prove to raiding groups that I'm capable of raiding with a different job? Because raiding groups I sub for harbor doubts that I can. I mean, first of all, why is it? Let me be clear about something. If you have one of each role, 1 melee, 1 caster, 1 ranged, for the 3% buff that'll give you, the extra 2% coming from tank and healer. Double melee and double caster are both very, very common. So the only reason why Red Mage should ever be locked should be because the other caster is a Red Mage and they don't want the LB generation to slow down. So I'm confused if that's the reason they're locking Red Mage, because it's a very specific reason, in which case it shouldn't be happening all that much. There are quite a few Summoner and Black Mage players out there, and I'd be surprised if there were that many Red Mages that this was causing you such disdain. But you're never going to be able to prove outside of logs. I mean, FF logs. That's it. You need to be able to parse something, show them how well you parsed, and that's going to be the end of it. But I guess I don't really know how you're going about progging this. I don't know if it's with a static. You say you lately to find a party in Party Finder, and for E12 they're almost certainly going to look at your logs, so you need logs. I mean, that's it. You need logs. If you're going to play something else, you need logs to prove that you can somewhat perform. So you need to do 9, 10, and 11 on another job and do somewhat okay with them. Otherwise, that's the only proof they're probably going to ever accept. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. I almost read it backwards. I almost said Mondays to Mr. Happy. I don't know why. Hello, Mr. Happy. How are you doing? Hope all is well for you. I hope the same for you, and hi. Besides Pub and Master, is there anything from okay, fair question. Their glamour system is better than 14's. It's a sad truth, but it's genuinely better. Don't get me wrong, it's still like jank as hell, but it's sadly better than ours. And so 11's glamour system. All right, hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, hi, greetings, lolly ho, guten tag, how are you? You all right? I'm doing all right. I like this hello. Let's see where this goes. If you're like me and you're asking questions somehow lead to light existential crises with an apostrophe and an S at the end. Oh no, that is a crisis. I've been thinking on this one question. Pizza. It's cooked in a circle, comes in a square box, eaten in triangles. Why? My life. It's ruined. All right, and all of the remaining comments, it's sad. It's mostly comments. I think there's one or two questions that I said I would save for a lightning round. Somebody asked if I'm Lebanese. That's a question that I didn't expect to get. You're not actually the first person to ask me a question about I've been asked if I'm Lebanese, Armenian, and no, I'm Italian. I'm Italian through and through. So I know I have some French and English mixed in there, but other than that, no, I'm more Italian than anything else. Someone mentioned Phantom Flurry, which was a Suzaku skill. I guess I forgot what it was called. Last week, some comments about stat squishing again. That's never gonna change. Thorn and Unreal, please. Oh man. Oh, somebody even said saying hi for whoever forgot to say it. Good, because we started very, very unfortunately with a lot of those missing. Somebody asked what could Nier do to save itself in the end. This actually had hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays with it. And I saw Nier and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, but I think it's too late for them to do anything that's really gonna wow me. But it can at least end on a good note. I think with Nier. Maybe it'll all come together and I'll really like what they did in the end. I have a feeling there's going to be some New Game Plus shenanigans that's going to be kind of going to drive me nuts. But whatever, I'll give it its fair shot. If it is good, I'll say it's good. I'm not going to hate it if it's genuinely enjoyable, but it hasn't been up to this point. I can only judge it based on how it's been, and I can only place expectations on how it's been as well, because I don't expect it to change. There was somebody saying that somebody in their FC was hacked and they took all the money out of the FC chest. First of all, I never believe bullshit stories like this. I'm going to give you all a very solid piece of advice. Never let everyone access the FC chest. If they need something from it, have like one tab that doesn't have Gil and has only things people are putting in there for other people to take if they need it. And the other 3 tabs, moderate them. Gil, moderate it. And give almost nobody access. You don't want to just give people access. Because some people don't have 2-factor authentication. Some people are full of shit and will say they got hacked and they'll just take everything and then whatever. And then that'll be the end of that. I don't fucking trust anyone. I would never put that much in the FC chest. If somebody needs to borrow Gil for the FC, I will fucking give it to them myself, not from the FC chest, because that shit is dangerous. Not to mention, I just don't know how FCs run, where people can just throw shit and take shit out of the chest like it's some like big ass trust system. It's the internet. People suck. Accept it. But I mean, they said they got the money back, but they feel like they're kind of like demotivated now, even though it's like the money that Gil has been put back in. And I was like, just who cares? Just it happened. It happens. Move on. Especially if the Gil got replaced. If the Gil is somehow given to his donation, just take everyone's access away and move on. It's not that difficult. Somebody was saying, is it good to go back to old savages to practice for new savages? I never think it is. Maybe old ones in the current expansion. And turn off the echo, which you do kind of suggest here, but don't go back to like old ones. Stick to the current max level stuff, because that's going to be your best practice, even if it is, even if you've kind of outscaled it. Your item level will be synced to like a very forgivable level, and it will be a lot easier. But it's a way better option than going back to like level 60 or 70 or 50 stuff. That's never going to be the option for you. The best advice I have to get into Savage is to get in when a tier is out fresh. That's when there's the most people who are learning, even if they still say learning party and disband after 3 wipes, even though you got further than the actual thing said they were going to, and I just don't understand. But, yeah, that's about the best I can do on that front. I think that might have been the last one that I was thinking that I needed to do. Some people are saying I like the food picks. Oh, somebody asked I didn't even see this. There's a question I literally scrolled past and I just missed entirely. One that said that I see you do a bunch of ocean fishing, or I've seen you on a bunch of ocean fishing boats. Wondering how close you are to 3 mil. I'm like 960,000. So I'm almost at the first achievement for the 1 million. And then, you know, I've got a long way to go. I've got till Endwalker, and realistically, I have to after Endwalker. If I don't get it by then, it's not the end of the world. But, no, and I've only ever gotten 1 blue. I got a Coral Manta, and that's it. I had a Stone Scale get away from me the other day, and I'm furious. Like, I was on the line, I pulled, and then it said, the fish got away, and I said, I hate this game. And now I'm playing Monster Hunter Rise. That's where that ended up. Somebody asked, I'm hearing a lot about Lunar Ifrit, but what about the possibility of Lunar Phoenix? I think it's because of the proximity of Pagalthon to a tower. If there's any sort of primal that's going to be summoned by that, by the Amalja and their nightmares or just their greatest fear, the ones who aren't tempered, they would probably summon Lunar Ifrit. So that's why that's been the biggest talk, is just because of the location of the dungeon itself. And then, now I think that was actually the last one. There's the D&D question. Necromancer. Is anyone else going for the Necromancer title? Not me. If my internet were to go out, I'd lose my mind and I would never want to do it again. I think that was it. I think those are all the questions and various comments bring up. So thank you everyone for watching this week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. If you have a question, be sure to ask it in the comment section of the video below. Be on the lookout. We will be returning to State of the Realm this week. We will have a breakdown on the live letter after it comes out. Probably a couple of opinion pieces. So expect the timeline to have 5 or 6 videos this week, mostly towards the end of the week itself. So with that, thank you all for watching. I will see you all in the next Q&A next Monday. And until then, take care.